the Two Business Guys Mastermind on how to create a business that pays you big time. Enjoy. This business podcast, the Two Business Guys Mastermind, uncovers for you secrets and share tips and tricks to entrepreneurship as they mastermind on how to have startup, operational, and overall business success so that you can go on to get better results. Enjoy.
You go ahead and introduce it.
Hey, everybody, Rob and I are over here and we are going back and forth. We're kind of arguing on some stuff, but and you're going to get the benefit of that argument. On one hand, I was saying, I just showed Rob this article that I got in a newsletter email, right? And the disagreement was on how, when you're building your business, how you got to consider way more than you might be considering right now. Mm-hmm. Because ultimately, that business might just be giving you a job. And Rob was able to point out that because you're going to be wearing all these hats, are you paying yourself? Is the business paying you to do all those jobs?
Exactly.
Now that's a key consideration, right? Because I'm a keyword guy to find out if there's a total addressable market. And then as you go and you find that market, then you create the copy, then you make the offer. So it's traffic, copy, offer, right? Find the traffic. Is it a whole bunch of folks? Build the copy and create the landing pages and put it out there so that you can see if you got a customer. And what Rob was mentioning was, and this is the difference, everybody, you might right now be out there doing so much work and the business just can't support you. Because once you peel off all those jobs, and I'm going to let Rob go ahead and tell it, but once you peel off all those things you're doing, you might find out that you're making pennies. So Rob, can you expand on that a little bit? What were you thinking on that?
Yeah, and I want to. There was a one piece in the beginning that I thought was really important, which was talking about how a lot of businesses are succeeding, and this is the point that Randy and I both agreed with in the article. A lot of businesses are succeeding purely on the grit and the resilience of the founder, right? And so what it does is it gives you a false positive because of the fact that you're able to have a continuing going concern. And like this has happened to me with my business. This has happened to another number of people that I know. It's one of the things that we're doing a huge revamp even right now to reduce the impact of this, because business owners, especially those people that are able to survive the first year, you're relentless, you're driven, you're gonna make this happen. You're an achiever, right? But what happens is we're using the best practices of being a professional. We're using the best practices of being an individual to try to create an organization. And that's one of the big problems that a lot of people run into. And so what we were talking about is when you start a business, that most people start businesses. Now, there's a certain group of people that start businesses because they're like, I just want to find what's making the most money and I'm going to go do that. There's certain people that's the case, right? And if that's the case for you, then one of the things that you really want to pay attention to is the whole idea of go find traffic. Like everything that Randy just said is extremely important if what you're trying to do is find something that's going to help you to make money. And there's nothing knocking that, but the majority of business owners that I've coached, that's not their primary motivation. Their primary motivation isn't to go find a thing that makes money. Their primary motivation is to find a way to do what they care about, to do what they're passionate about, and to figure out how to make them enough money. Right. And so when you're coming to it from that perspective, the thing that most business owners don't realize is all the other jobs that you have to do to create a business that makes that passion make you money. Right. And so we coach entrepreneurs all the time. And one of the things that entrepreneurs will do is we'll look at, OK, what's the price for your best selling item? And so they'll go through and they'll show like maybe it'll be something that costs $200 and it only costs them $100, or $50 to get it, right? But the problem is they're not looking at the different jobs that they then have to do after getting that thing to get it to the customer, to fulfill the customer. So just a couple of the jobs, right? Just a couple of the jobs that you have to look at. Number one is actually customer fulfillment. This is normally the job that you like the most. This is what Michael Gerber calls the technician in the E-Myth, right? This is the job of the chef that loves to cook, right? Or the beautician that loves to do hair, or the speaker that loves to be on stage speaking, right? That's the part of the job that you love. But here's the interesting thing about that. That is only one part of it. And that's actually one of your variable expenses. You do that and get paid for that more when you have more customers and less when you have less customers. But here's the other jobs that you have to think about that make that thing happen. You have to have a salesperson. Somebody has to be out there cultivating leads and building relationships and building reputation and closing the deals and scheduling them on the calendar. That is a hat that most business owners also wear. You have to have an accounting person and a bookkeeping person. After you're doing everything and you're invoicing and you're paying bills and you're doing all the stuff of running the business, you have to have somebody that's keeping track of all of that.
And I just another keep time.
Exactly. It's time that goes into those things. And here's the key. It's time when you're not doing the stuff that you love doing, which is being in front of people or doing hair or whatever the right pottery or whatever the job is that you have. Whatever the business is that you have, these are things that you're not doing, where you're not doing that time. Another thing that a lot of people have to do, right? Administrative tasks, managing your schedule, ensuring that everything gets done appropriately, creating your, doing emails and following up and all the rest of that type of stuff. Marketing, separate from sales, crafting your message, ensuring that you're doing the research that Randy is talking about. Is there traffic? Is there a market? Is there copy? All of those. So that's 4 jobs right there that have nothing to do with actually delivering for your clients. And what most people are doing is they're getting paid a decent wage for the job they love, but they're getting paid horrible wages for the jobs that are actually taking up the majority of their time. Whereas you may be every month, you may be 5, 10, maybe 20 hours in client fulfillment for the whole month, but you're spending 60 hours a week in those other jobs.
And that's what burns entrepreneurs out.
Exactly.
And you guys, listen, you just heard just gold dropping on the ground right now. You've heard me say this before. Did you pick it up? Because now this is a sobering moment in your entrepreneurial journey. This is a sobering moment, business owners, when you're saying to yourself, but I'm working like a dog and it's not paying me. It's because if you haven't priced out those other jobs. Now, okay, Grab, you're gonna have those people come in and say, well, I'm expert at Fiverr people, and I get my guru folks, and I go to Upwork, and I'm on TopTal, and I started thinking about it because I do a lot of that. Until I realized that, wait a minute, I was spending a lot of time managing those folks, right? I had to go and I had to look at the graphics that they just put together. And then I had to go and say, no, it's wrong. Time. Until I says, I'm going to get somebody to do that. I says, now, their job is to help the business expand and contract by what we're doing next. My job is to constantly think of these new things we could do and then immediately send it to them and says, go expand and contract. Go tell them you're on, them you're off. And then it started making more sense.
There you go.
Right? Because if you say, I used to do it all and I was the bottleneck. You might be the bottleneck. And the key thing
too is I don't want you to feel, and I don't want any of our listeners to feel like it's an either or, right? The whole key is if you can't measure it, you can't improve it. And what so many business owners are not doing is they're not measuring the time that they're spending doing these things, right? I was just coaching with one of my business owners, and she was spending about 40 hours a month working on sales, 100 hours a month doing administrative work, another 100 hours a month doing marketing, whereas she was only spending about 40 to 60 hours a month actually doing the work that she loves to do. And here's the reason why that's important. When you actually look at, wait, I'm spending 40 hours a month doing sales, which means that if my business is breaking even, I'm paying myself $1 to $5 an hour to do this work.
Right.
Is there somebody that I can hire who could do this work in a fraction of the time. And therefore, I could shrink how much money I have to pay to this particular section of my business. Because now any money that doesn't have to go to sales, but that represents increased sales, now comes back to the business. Any money that doesn't have to go to accounting and administration, that, right? And that's the key. But when it's all in our salary, when we're all looking at it, here, there's two things that happen that business owners have to be very aware of. The first thing that happens is when you have all of these things together and you're not measuring them, you have no idea how much time you're really taking to do them. You don't know how inefficient you're being with your money. But to think about hiring somebody else to do it emotionally feels like you're taking money from yourself and getting nothing in return. It feels like I have to make less so that I can bring this person on. Because the only comparison that you have is that they're going to be doing more, they're going to be doing work, and you're going to have to pay them that money from what you're making. Right? So that's the first thing, is that feeling of
Rob, I want to stop there. And so we can interject something. It's something that someone said recently on a podcast that just like blew my mind, right? And that's hard to do, y'all. He says, you know, you're thinking about it as if you get time taken away when you, again, money out of your pocket, you got to bring a person on. He says, but what you really do is you expand time. And I hadn't thought about it. You are expanding time when you bring somebody into your business, expanding time. Multiplication, not money out, expanding.
Exactly.
And so go ahead. I'm sorry, Ryan, go ahead.
That was perfect. That was perfect segue, because that's the second point. The second point is exactly that. Once you're measuring, now you can actually compare apples and apples. When you look at yourself and you say, I spend 40 hours a week 40 hours a month working on sales, 10 hours a week. If you can pay somebody who's good at sales, even if you're paying them the same salary that you were just making, but they can do it in 4 hours a week. Now they're spending 16 hours a month doing sales for you, which allows you to spend that 40 hours a month that you were spending, right? Especially if they're good at sales, now they're impacting how much money you're getting paid for doing the thing that you're passionate about, because they just gave you 40 hours back in your time, right? And here's the thing, even if they're not any better than you, let's say that they're doing the exact same thing that you're doing in less time, and your sales don't go up. You still now have 40 hours freed up of your month to apply to something that you're better at. Power.
Y'all ought to be picking up what Rob is putting down now, right? And this is what I like to say, you know, and me, I'm kind of like, hey, look, I'm a digital real estate guy. I love building things that go out and do stuff for me, right? Because I love protecting my time, you know, and I've just kind of taken a look at how that happens in my life, and then on what areas, even with that approach, you know, in school, they said no additional marginal cost businesses. And I remember that stuck in my head. I don't remember a lot of other stuff from school, but I remember that, right? And it's how you couldn't get your time back. That was economics, right? Opportunity cost. I remember that. You guys heard me talk a little bit about this before. Opportunity cost and creating businesses that pay you forever. And here's something. Now, this is from the rap world, right? This kind of validates that approach, right? And this is where, if we can get you to this point, and some of the things that I preach about when I'm doing coaching and talking with businesses and stuff like that, right? And helping them come in, I'm saying, listen, I'm going to use these SEO principles, and I'm going to help you create digital real estate and online property so that your money streams never run dry. That's what I'm going to do for you. That's kind of my one-liner, right? But anyway, Remy Ma said something recently. So I'm watching, you know, and y'all, if y'all don't know Remy Ma, okay, go look her up. Right? She's, you know, she could, I guess, we're a little rough around the edges, but she's dope in this thinking. Get this. She said, from one song that she did with Fat Joe, one song, she says everybody got paid. In other words, she is paid generationally, because it was that popular and it pays that well in residuals.
Mm-hmm.
Now y'all say, I'd love to chill out at the crib and make some money and still chill and still make money, right? That's why I started a whole business that's based on helping people create digital real estate and online properties, right? Digital real estate, something I can create. They become your little salespeople, or you can get some salespeople to go out and sell it for you. All kind of cool stuff that you can leverage.
And that's the whole thing. It's Robert Kiyosaki talks about this. If you haven't read this book, I highly recommend you all go grab it. It's called The Cash Flow Quadrant. And in that book, he talks about, the different ways that people make money. You got employees who make money because somebody built a business and they go work for that person, right? Mm-hmm. And so they trade their time for money directly. Then you've got small business owners who go and create a business, quote unquote, which is really a job that's based around the thing that they love, that passion that they love. And the problem with that is it relies on the small business owner for it to make money. Everything is tied to what you do. This is a lot of the frustration that we deal with a lot of the entrepreneurs that we coach. But then he talks about the other side of the quadrant, right? So you got those two on this side. Then you flip over to the other side. This is where your money works for you and buys you more time, right? And that's where you have a big business, right? And this is a concept, not really the size of the business. The difference between a big business and a small business is that a big business owns systems, whereas a small business owns a job, owns a fulfillment, right? And that's the progress that a lot of people go through, where you create this thing that allows you to do your passion, but you have to realize that if it only makes money when you're doing your passion, then you only make money when you're doing your passion. And Randy has told a story before about a contractor that he had when he was doing his real estate business that went down, lost his entire income source because it was all tied into him being able to do his passion. Big business, on the other hand, creates a system like digital real estate where you have a group or a team of people that even if you're not there, they can do the job and make the money. And you can insert yourself and do the job and make money as well, command a higher premium, do all the rest of that. But your team can still do the job and make the money if you're on vacation for a year, if you're hurt, if you're sick, if you're anything.
That's it.
That's where you're buying time back, because the business is, and this is what we were mainly talking about. The business is not just able to pay you. The business is able to pay everybody that's necessary to sustain the business and to make the business run well. So it's able to pay you and your team. And if you can create a business where your business is able to pay you and your team, then now you have income security, which is what most of us, as we're moving and matriculating through this business journey, are looking for. It's not just, can I make money now? You can go get a nice job and make money now. It's, do I have the security of knowing that if I'm not perfect, if I'm not excellent, if I'm not always on it, that I'm still going to be taken care of, that my family is still going to be taken care of, that I'm starting to build generational wealth. If that's what you're looking for, then you want to create a business system. And that requires you thinking about, how do I ensure that this team gets paid, instead of just thinking about, how do I ensure that I get paid?
Man, that right there is everything, everyone, because that tells you now how I should be building this business. And this is the stuff that we love, Rob, especially when we do this in class, right? When you're coaching the class and I'm facilitating the class, and we look at this point, why we get excited during times like this is because once the business gives you the numbers, right? Rob just told you, once it gives you the stuff to do, then you can ask, what's the best way to get this done? And more importantly, who can help me? What's the best way and who can help me? What's the best way and who can help me? This is what you're constantly saying, right? In other words, is it me, corner store? Is it you over at the retail spot? Is it you online? Is it you joint venturing with someone? Is it? So now you can ask the more intelligent question of, what should I do? And then who can help me get this done? That's how you start thinking. You put in all that. If I had to pay this person, if I had to pay this person, if I had to pay this person, if I had to pay this person. This is the true measure and or expense cost of the business. And then now you say,
Mhm.
how can I turn those costs into income? Because I'm now
Mhm.
freed up to think up ways to do it.
Mhm. Exactly.
I'm telling you, that's the perfect scenario. People get on me a lot. They call me man of leisure because I've created some things that allow those things to go out there and make money. Sometimes it's high money, sometimes it's low money, but it's still the
Money
ability for it to be out there doing it for me. Now, if I go,
without
well, I
your
need this
time at all.
without my time, I put in the time at a time, and I says, I like building business like that. When I was in the real estate, I says, I like building things that then I can eat on for a while, right? That was
Mhm.
the farmer approach. We talked a little bit about this, the farmer
Mhm.
approach. And then I says, well, shoot, what if I said, I'm gonna hunt for a while, I'm gonna trap, and I'm gonna farm? What if I said, I'm gonna figure out how to do all three? So I
Mhm.
go, in this period of time, I did in my 20s, I did this and it fed me in my 30s. In my 30s, I did this and it fed me in my 40s. So y'all see what I'm saying here now? It is those things that you do in those time frames, right? It
Mhm.
doesn't have to be whole decades, but in those time frames that then you say, could I sprint? And from that sprint, walk the rest of the way.
Mhm.
From that sprint. Now, this is the stuff that Rob and I do. Hit the smash. Hey, listen, everybody, you're hearing this. And if you're digging it, tell us, right? Subscribe to the channel, put it in the comments. What are you building? Are you sprinting? Are you walking? Have you built something that you can now eat on? And I'm gonna tell you right now, and I said it, I'm gonna tell you right now, it doesn't matter what age you are. I like this guy out there named Myron Gold. Myron, his name is Myron, first name, I can't remember last name. Trash man to cash man, right? And he's becoming
Mhm.
very, very popular lately, but he's been putting in the work for a long
Mhm.
time because I remember seeing him a long time ago.
Mhm.
Now I'm
Mhm.
seeing him on Earn Your Leisure. I'm seeing him on different places, right? And he's seasoned. But you start looking at some of the work that he put in to now he can enjoy some of that stuff. And he's again a seasoned guy, right?
Mhm.
A little older, but that tells you it's not too late. So
Not
where
too
are
late.
you
It's
right
never
now?
too
Don't be
late.
thinking, oh my God, it's not too late. Because
Exactly.
I'll give you an example, Rob. There's some stuff that just started coming out. You can become an expert in that because it's the wild, wild west, right? And I'm talking about
Mhm.
NFTs. I'm talking about all things blockchain, so you could
Mhm.
just
Mhm.
be some person sitting on the couch saying, well, I can't go and lift anything anymore because I'm older. But you can sit there and learn about NFTs and learn about blockchain technology and learn about ETH and learn about all these different things and come out with something just incredible that everybody's going to.
Yep.
And that don't
Yep.
matter how old you are. You could say, hey,
Mhm.
NFTs for the older generation, NFTs for people over 30s,
Mhm.
NFT. So
Mhm.
you can approach it like that. My point is, it's not too late.
Not at all.
We help people with that kind of stuff, right? When Rob is
Yep.
looking into a business and said, I'm going to find you $100,000 and I'm going to do it
Mhm.
in less than 100 minutes, right? And I go in and says, I'm going to help you create digital real estate and online property so your income streams never run dry. Right? When we're doing stuff like that, if I'm helping somebody monetize their life because they can't see from what they do how they can earn from it, when I'm doing stuff like that, this is what we are always thinking about, always trying to help you with. Right? So that's your call. That's your call. You can do what you want, but that's your call. We have the ability to help you no matter where you are. So that's up to you.
Awesome.
Rob,
Awesome.
what
Awesome.
else can we leave folks with, man? Because I think we were excited about this today.
Yeah. Oh yeah. 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 This and
Y'all
and, and
seeing
and
this
if y'all
excitement.
want more of this, let us know in the comments and everything. Because this is honestly, this is one of the big epiphanies that I've been really crystallizing. I'm working on a book talking about these topics as well because it's something I think is really important for entrepreneurs. And I'll leave you all with this quote. And this is from a book that I read maybe 10 years ago, called "The Difference Between Millionaires and the Middle Class." And what the author of that book talks about is he said, one of the biggest differences between people who build wealth and people who just work is that People who build wealth live on different time horizons. Their minds are able to see different timelines. And what he said was, most people are worried about survival. Most people are just paying attention to, right? As you go socioeconomic status from middle class on down, you're looking at a lot of people start thinking meal to meal, then they get day to day, then they get week to week, then they get check to check. And then at best in the middle class, you're looking at people that can plan month to month. And that's all they see. Did we make it this month? Yes. Okay. Can we make it next month? Yes. And right. And certain stuff pops up on them. Christmas, birthdays, tax season. Like it's always a surprise. Right. And that's where most of America is kind of living in that world where they're just planning month to month. What he says is that millionaires are thinking year to year. They're taking an entire year. They're looking back last year and saying, okay, what did I do last year? And what do I want to improve? And they're tracking year to year and they're making year to year improvements. And when you can make year to year improvements, it changes the scope and the scale of what you're able to do, right? Just something, and here's one, Randy, I know you'll love this from James Clear, Atomic Habits. If you can improve yourself 1% a day over the course of a year, right? 1%, not a whole bunch, not tremendous improvement, but just 1% a day. By the end of that year, at the end of 365 days, you will not have it just improved 365%, which, let's be honest, 365% is 3xing what you were doing last year to this year. It would be amazing. But that's not what the growth is. If you're able to do that, consistently growing just a little bit every day, you would actually improve yourself 3,700%. That's 37 times better. What if you could make 37 times more money? What if you could have 37 times more time, more free time than you had the year before? How would that change your life? How would that change what you're doing? That's the thing that millionaires and decamillionaires are, right? You know, the super rich are thinking decade to decade. So they're able to, as Randy talked about, they're able to set traps and allow the traps to bring the food to them. They're able to plant and wait for the harvest season because they have set themselves up that they're thinking on different timelines. And it takes work to get there. It takes setting things in order. It takes transcending survival, right? It's not just that it's not survival or not surviving. Thriving is on the same side as survival, but there's another level. And that means making survival your baseline. What are the things that you need to do as a business owner to make sure that you don't have to worry about paying your bills anymore? What are the things that you need to do as a business owner to make sure that you have health insurance, to make sure that you have car insurance, to make sure that you have life insurance so that you're not worried about what's going to happen with your family day to day? Because if you can shore that up, now you can spend just a little bit of extra time focusing on improving your business. And in a year, your business could be exponentially improved.
Well said, everybody. And we're going to end on that. We will talk to you on the next week. Look forward to, we're going to be compiling the things that Rob and I have talked about into its own book. We don't know if we're going to be, if it'll be a book, if it'll be a small little film. We're going to create an NFT from it. All kinds of cool things coming. Be on the lookout, everyone. And we're going to be showing you how to do this stuff. We do it, and then we show you how to do it. So you can do it.
There we go.
All right. Let's talk again soon. Thanks again, Rob. We will talk to you next week too.